The name of the game is playing really, really good baseball in late May.
We have a motto here that, little things become big things. And if we can take care of those little things, I think we're going to be all right.
We got to bring your expectations are high, and this is kind of what we're used to. This is how I was introduced to Middle Township basketball.
I miss being on the sidelines. I miss everything what high school football is all about. I think it's the greatest sport.
It's not a walk in the park going through our league.
And the message is simple. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? It's Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko. Latest edition in our football preview series for the 2024 campaign, coming up in just a few short months. Ocean City head coach Kevin Smith is with me on the program. Coach, appreciate the time. As always, taking time out of your day, gearing up. I know it's hot out there right now as we record this. Basically, the off season's done. School's out. Training camp is just around the corner. How's the off season been treating you? And I can't believe we're already this close to football.
Yeah, first of all, it's good time to be at the beach because the weather's a little bit nicer over there, and we just wrapped up our mini camp today. We had a 4-day mini camp and just finished that up, and that's exciting. It's a great time of year. Everybody's optimistic this time of year. Everybody feels good about themselves, but we got a nice group coming back, so we're looking forward to digging in with them in July.
A lot of returns coming back here this fall or when the season kicks off. I know the record really didn't reflect your team last year, 3-7, but you did make a playoff appearance, quarterfinal loss to Hamilton, very close game. I wanted to reflect on 2023 a little bit as you gear up for the upcoming season. It seems like you guys were in a little bit of a rut, then you hit your stride, and it was a bit of a roller coaster ride last year. But again, like I mentioned, I don't think the record necessarily indicated what you guys brought to the table on the field last year. What's your take on it as you reflect on the last calendar season?
Yeah, we played a killer schedule. Every team on our schedule except for one made the playoffs last year. We played 2 true state champions. We played 4 sectional champions. So that's the kind of stuff that's going to, I think, benefit us this year. Obviously, last year it made it a bit of a struggle, but we beat some good teams, beat Pleasantville. They were a very good football team, beat Hamilton, back-to-back games against Hamilton, which are absolute thrillers, really exciting games, had a really good game with Cedar Creek. So, we played some great teams tough, and it was also just pretty cool in a way. You never like to lose football games, but in a way it was still pretty cool to be able to play teams that were executing at such a high level. Mainland had a fabulous team. Delsey had a fabulous team. We played some explosive teams in Millville and Winslow. So for the guys coming back, they're not going to see anything this year that's going to be tougher or more challenging than what they saw last year. So I think last year, great preparation for this season.
When you look at that type of preparation, again, depending upon who comes back and who's already graduated from the program, when you look at the film over the course of the winter, you guys are going through your off-season workouts. Other guys are playing other sports, whether it's basketball, wrestling, and then, of course, you get to the spring with baseball, track, and whatever have you. When you look at what you guys did on the field last year, you just mentioned that tough schedule. I don't think anybody played a tougher schedule last year than you guys, at least it seems like on paper, in South Jersey. What do you take away from the film study of last year that you can implement to this year and saying, maybe we had our opportunities. Did it just come down to execution, or are there some things you can fine tune and tweak?
I think physicality will be the key for us. We return a lot of starters up front on both sides of the ball. When I look at us against teams like Delsey and Mainland and Millville, the difference really was the perimeter, the skill guys. And we were able, for the most part, to hang with those teams in between the tackles. And we were young in between the tackles. And we got a lot of guys coming back now at those interior spots who've had another year in the weight room. So, again, I look at the film from last year. I'm encouraged by some of what I saw on the offensive and defensive lines. And I realize we got to replace some playmakers, but I think if we can be a ball control type team, stop the run on defense, we'll give ourselves a chance every week.
Some of the guys that are coming back, I wanted to highlight your quarterback, Walker Bailey, going into, I believe, his senior year now, so a big opportunity for him. What has his offseason been like in terms of development and taking strides forward? And based on what you saw from him last year, I can only imagine the expectations for him are through the roof here in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with Walker is he got hurt on the second play of the season. I mean, battle at the beach against Pleasantville, you got all this stuff you prepared for all year long, and then 2 plays in, he gets a stress fracture in his ankle that really just bothered him for much of the season. He didn't get healthy until late in the year, and he started to play some pretty good football down the stretch. So obviously we want to put a little bit more on his plate coming back. Just the reps are huge at the quarterback position. You begin to get a familiarity with what to expect from defenses. You kind of train your eyes, you know where to look. So I think that the year of experience will benefit him tremendously. And then he's got to be able to take on a bigger leadership role. We had some good senior leaders last year, guys like John Moyer, Nick Layton, Duke Gunther. They're gone. So for Walker as the returning starter at quarterback, he's got to now move into that role. We've spent a lot of time this offseason talking about that. What's it mean to be a leader? How do you exemplify that on a daily basis? Leadership. I think a lot of kids that think that leadership is like yelling at your teammates or just being loud and being vocal, but it's little things, man. It shows up in all your work habits, when you take the practice field, how much huddle film you've watched, all that stuff. So we're really trying to work on that element of his game.
When you work on that with him, is it just kind of, here's some advice we can give you, here's what we recommend, and we just let you run with it? Are you a little bit more hands-on in terms of that leadership? I mean, I can only imagine, especially with a team that's as big as yours, you look at the leaders kind of just have to emerge themselves from the players. How'd you go about coaching up Walker in terms of his leadership skills and how to improve them as a senior?
I think with all of our guys, that process starts in the off season. We divided up our team back in December, the returning players, into off-season workout teams. They had captains of each team. The captains were responsible for making sure the guys got to the lifts, making sure they collected the grades from each player on their workout team so they could report them to me, making sure that their guys got to our community service events. I mean, taking ownership of a small group was a big part of that because it, teaches them to now, you're invested. It's your football team, and we're not out there playing. So we can only take you so far. And then it builds trust and confidence in their teammates as well, man. So you work that process throughout the off season. Hopefully it manifests on the field.
I know a lot of teams do these community service events. They do fundraising type of activities throughout the offseason. They try to do a little bit in season as well. What were some of the things that your guys did in the offseason in terms of community service? And when you look at those, you just mentioned the small groups too, that has to increase their bonds as teammates, whether or not they were close or not beforehand. I think that all helps, does it not?
Yeah, I mean, we had an off-season weight training fundraiser competition. I mean, it wasn't a community service event, but their workout teams were raising money for our program, and then it all culminated in a big weight training event that the public was invited to. That was a great night, good team bonding stuff. Get the community involved. But then we've got our guys doing things like helping out with the after prom, moving boxes for people. A lot of grunt work, honestly, man. I actually had a realtor in town, text me this morning and asked me if I had some guys who could help one of their clients move. They're moving their stuff from one apartment to another. It's a small town. It's a small, close-knit community. A lot of people know each other. The football team is pretty visible in the community. The more we can get out there in our Ocean City gear, helping people, even if it's little things, man, getting guys to volunteer at like some of the 5K runs that they have in town, to be guys that are race markers or handing out drinks or things like that. I think all that stuff goes a long way, man. You want people in the stands on Friday night, give them an incentive, man. Help out in other aspects of the community, and then they'll reciprocate.
Looking ahead to the schedule this year, you guys were realigned. The whole West Jersey Football League realigned this year. The mega conference that is down here in South and West Jersey and throughout the entire state. The Constitution Division this year, you guys, Holy Spirit, Hamilton, Atlantic City, and Cedar Creek, loaded division. And just talking to Holy Spirit head coach Andrew DePasquale, he loved it just because now you get some of those local rivalries back. What do you make of this new division this year for the 2024 realignment? It's got to be good considering you guys are playing Atlantic City. You'll see Cedar Creek and more of the local teams that are sprinkled out through your schedule.
I love that aspect of it. It's going to be challenging, no doubt about it. And our out of conference games are going to include some other good teams like Mainland. But yeah, man, I think of our 9 opponents that are on our schedule, 6 of them are old Cal teams, and I really like that. That's a great mix, actually. You know, we got some schools that we don't traditionally see. We play Lenape, we play Eastern, we play Cinnaminson. And then you get all, you know, some of those old rivalries back. So it's a really good mix. It's nice, man, because like, you know, last year we were playing all over South Jersey. You're driving an hour away and there's nobody in the stands, and you're playing a team that you don't have a rivalry against. That doesn't feel like Friday night football. So I think it's going to have a better feel this year.
It's funny you mentioned something like that, because not that there's been really conversation about this, or who knows what would happen, 10 years from now. But, back when, if you go back to my high school days, where there was no merger with the West Jersey Football League, it was just the Cape Atlantic League, and you had 2 conferences for football. Do you ever envision something like that happening again? Would you actually want that? Do other coaches want that? I mean, I feel like the league is big enough, but I guess in terms of the way the playoff system works now, that might not happen. Can you envision the Cal coming back as a football conference in itself, like basketball and the other sports have still?
I hear some conversation about that. Some athletic directors talk about it. Some coaches who are advocates for that. I'll play whoever you line us up against. I'll be honest. I think we like the challenges. Hopefully, we don't like losing. Nobody likes losing, but give us a schedule that's fair, and we'll play it. But for the sake of Friday nights and the atmosphere and the kids, I feel as though keeping the local rivalries intact is really important. There's a big difference. When you got 1,500 people in the stands as opposed to 500 people in the stands. When you got your whole student section filled as opposed to a third of your student section filled. That's an important element of high school football that I hope we don't lose sight of in our attempt in this state anyway to get to like the big state championships, because we've moved a lot of pieces around to try to marry up the powerhouses of North and South Jersey, but at what cost to the day in, day out Friday night football?
Yeah, I'm a big tradition guy as well. So looking ahead to the opening weekend, of course, Battle of the Beach is back at Ocean City for the first day. It's moving over to EHC for the second 2 days. You guys play, looks like it's Cinnaminson for your game, hosting, again, one of the premier events to open up the high school football season, probably in the country at this point, because they obviously got national recognition with IMG coming up to play as well. So when you look at that opening game against Cinnaminson and the whole event as a whole, going into this year, a little bit different because it does split locations. What was your initial reaction to that? And do you envision this kind of having a rotating host site after you guys the first day, or what do you see for the future of the event?
No, I think it'll come back to Ocean City permanently. The issue this year was opening weekend fell on Labor Day weekend, and our field is traditionally booked out for the Philly Catholic League, so we kind of had to give a little bit. But I think it'll come back to Ocean City. There's a lot of attraction there, and I mean, IMG said that they would only come up to play in Ocean City. They really like the venue. Coach Miller really had a great experience last year. I mean, Belichick talked it up at the NFL draft.
Yeah, they did.
That was really cool. We're looking forward to it. We played the game right before the IMG Bergen Catholic game, which is on ESPN. That'll be exciting for us. I think it's going to be a packed house. We're playing a really good football team. Cinnaminson, Coach Patrizzi, I have a ton of respect for him and his program. They're always big and physical and well coached. So I think that's going to be like a slugfest, man. I think it's 2 teams with pretty similar styles getting after each other.
So with the on-the-field product for you guys this year, we already mentioned Walker Bailey coming back as one of those senior leaders at the quarterback spot. Who were some of the other guys you're looking to step up? You mentioned before a lot of those seniors from last year that graduated. Nick Layton comes to mind. I know. I mean, I'm a big wrestling guy, and he was obviously a multi-sport athlete, great guy on the mat as well. When you look at who's going to step up in his position and other positions, or who are some of the guys that you're really excited for to really step up here this fall?
Yeah, and we have 4 out of our starting 5 offensive linemen back. That's a big deal. Luke Holmes, third-year starter at center. Clifford Dirks, who was a regional wrestling champion, he's a third-year starter at guard. Ricky Kane, our left tackle's back. Anthony Gasparovic, TJ Santarpio. Those are all linemen plus our tight end. who are all back. So obviously we really feel like it's going to start there. We have a nice running back, Tristan Schmidt, who is a junior, played predominantly on the defensive side of the ball last year because we had Duke Gunther absorb most of our carries. But Tristan will step in. We like him. Ryan Hendricks at wide receiver. He played some quarterback for us. He actually stepped in when Walker got hurt in the Battle at the Beach game against Pleasantville last year as a sophomore and led us to a comeback win in that game. So he'll move out to play some slot receiver this year. JP Forster, a nice wide receiver for us. So I think, we've got some pieces on offense that I'm excited about. And defensively, I think our front seven will be good. We got to find some answers in the secondary. That's really kind of what we graduated, our defensive secondary. But some young kids, I think it's a nice mix of veteran leaders and then young kids. Got a freshman, Jackson Becker, quarterback and defensive back, who's probably going to step right into the varsity lineup in some capacity, who we're excited about. So there's some good kids and some enthusiasm within the group.
A good mix. I love to hear it. Kevin Smith of Ocean City Football with me here on Cal One-on-One, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. A couple more for you, Coach. You've been at the helm of this program for a decade plus now, and you look at your time so far at Ocean City as the head coach, running everything under the sun, it seems like at this point, with the way coaches have to deal with these days. You've made some good playoff runs. I go back to even just recently at 2021, you guys made it to the South Jersey final. Of course, Millville's been a buzzsaw for a lot of teams over the past couple of years. How do you get back to a game like that, a South Jersey final? And you alluded to it before, how the schedule for statewide leads up to that overall state championship. We saw Mainland do it last year, so a team from South Jersey can do it. Millville is obviously in the mix again as well. When you look at what you guys have done recently in the playoffs, and even last year, tough schedule, tough playoff game, how do you get back to that upper tier level, so to speak, of competing for a South Jersey title and trying to get ultimately to Rutgers University and compete for a state title?
Yeah, I think it starts in the off season. You got to be great in the off season. I mean, football's a year-round sport now. When I first started coaching way back in the 1990s, it was pretty much like the season ended on Thanksgiving and the kids lifted on their own for the most part. And the regular season or the official start of the preseason wasn't until August. You pretty much had your summer off and you just hoped your kids were doing the right thing. It's not like that at all anymore. I mean, football ends in November now for most teams, and by December you're back in the weight room. So we had a good off season in the weight room. I think it's a lot of different things. You hopefully you have talented players. Hopefully you stay healthy. I look at that Mainland team from last year, and they kind of got the combination of a really talented senior class, particularly, and those guys all played both sides of the ball, and they all stayed healthy. So you hope that the health figures in. Sometimes sometimes it's helpful if you get a little bit of luck with your playoff draw. I mean, in 2019 we went to the Group 4 final. And, we ran into Shawnee in the final game, and they were in the midst of, I think that they beat us, and that was their third championship in a row. 2021, we played Millville. 2020 was probably our best team, but we didn't get the playoffs that year because of COVID. But so we had a great we had two really good classes in a row there, and that was the core of our team. And you hope you can just kind of put that together, and then some of the chips fall your way.
Last one for you, Coach. Just a message to the Ocean City community. You guys have been propped up in the community quite a bit. It's one of the best things about a short town like that. Seeing the high school football right on the beach. You have the opening event, Battle of the Beach, to open up the season. It's you have one of the more unique areas of high school football down here in South Jersey. Just a message to the fan base, the school, alum, whatever the case may be, about this year's team in particular. That's going to stand out when we look back at your team come November or December.
Yeah, we're going to be physical. We're going to be fundamentally sound. We're not going to beat ourselves. We're going to be fun to watch, I believe. I think that we've got the ability to do some things that will be entertaining. I won't say much more than that, but we play a great schedule. I mean, it's one of the best venues in America to watch a football game, man. So, I mean, if you're in the Ocean City Upper Township community, any of our choice districts, the Margate area, et cetera, man, Friday Night Football at Carey Stadium is a truly special experience, man. So I hope people will come out and watch. We actually have a crazy schedule. Our first 4 games are at home, and then we only play one more home game for the rest of the year. So get us early.
I was gonna say, get them early before the real bad Jersey weather rolls in come late in October. All right, Coach. I appreciate the time. Be sure to follow us on social media, and of course, check out Cape Atlantic Live on YouTube for all of our Cal 101 podcasts, and of course, live games coming up this season once again for the 2024 football campaign. Of course, basketball as well. Coach, good luck this season. Looking forward to watching you guys, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Nick. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. This is Cal 101 right here on Cape Atlantic Live.